we put them on, and after they finish, we then discuss chapter updates, just as a matter of giving them the floor for as long as possible. So with us from the national, so the National Training Agency, there was an FM conference in June, I want to say, July, June, at the Chamber of Commerce, and in partnership with with IFMA, and there was a panel discussion about initiatives that government organizations were taking to flesh out and provide infrastructural policies support for FM, and the NTA were part of that panel discussion, and so we thought there was interest, there was a lot of interest by the FM community in the standards. So we invited them to do a presentation, do a deeper dive. So we have with us Avinash Ramsubag, the manager of the development of, forgive me Avinash if I don't remember the exact title, he's the manager of the standards development and training, and we have Sandy Subnanan, who supports him, and she actually was the person who was going through development of the standards line by line, item by item, did a lot of research, etc. So I want to hand over to Avinash and Sandy for the next 45-50 minutes for their presentation on the NTA National FM Occupancy Standards. Avinash and Sandy, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi. So I will start off today's presentation. Let me just share my screen. Okay, I have to request.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm Avinash. So as Sandy is setting up, I just want to take the time to thank you all for coming to this session and for trying and for us to give you all a deep dive in terms of what an occupational standard is and what you all can use the occupational standard for from a company perspective. So the important aspect of a national occupational standard is that it's workplace driven and industry endorsed. And so Sandy would have worked with a number of the industry experts to develop 3 levels of the national occupational standard. And Sandy will then go through the process as well as introduce you all to the units of competencies in all 3 levels. A unit of competency is basically a function. All right. So what we would have done is worked with the industry experts to, in a sense, collate all the functions by levels. All right, at least for the first 3 levels, and those first 3 levels are basically at the apprentice or trainee level, the skilled or artisan level, and that of the skilled supervisory level. And so when Sandy goes through the document, you will see that we would have made reference to all the 4 technical units of competencies or functions for the apprentice, as well as some of the soft skills for the apprentice. And similarly, we did that for the skilled worker or artisan, and as well as the skilled supervisory worker. All right. We will also touch base on a little bit about how you can do a little bit of training and assessment in the workplace utilizing the standard. because the standard is very beneficial, or in fact, the primary utilization of the standard is really for the workplace. And so we felt that it was an opportune time to present it to practitioners in the field, as well as well as persons who may have some supervisory responsibilities for skilled workers, to understand a bit about what are some of the competencies and how assessments can be done um, in the workplace. And in a sense, it's basically training assessments as well as performance assessments for existing workers. Um, Sandy, are you ready?
I'm gonna try to share.
Okay. So I will ask Sandy once she gets the PowerPoint presentation up, to go through a bit about our department, as well as the process, water occupational standards, and the process for the development of the occupational standards. And then I will go deep dive a little bit into how you can, by looking at one particular unit of competency and taking a look at how you can develop a training plan and an assessment plan utilizing that one unit of competency. Sandy?
Yes. Are you all seeing the presentation?
Yes.
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 Okay, great. Okay, so this is our presentation on national occupational standards. Our presentation, the Occupational Standards and Sector Support Department at the National Training Agency facilitates the development and promotion of occupational standards that enhance workforce competence across sectors in Trinidad and Tobago. So what are occupational standards? They define the knowledge, skills, and attitudes required for effective workplace performance. They specify what a person should know and do in order to carry out the functions of a particular job in the context of the work environment. Standards are the agreed minimum best practice for an occupational area and take into account all statutory requirements. They are benchmarked against international standards, including those in the UK, Canada, and Australia. Standards are developed in collaboration with industry experts. The role of the industry. So it's twofolded. We have the Sector Advisory Committee. They are responsible for promoting, reviewing, and endorsing the occupational standards. And we have the lead body, which consists of industry experts who review and amend the competency functions related to the occupation. The photo that you guys have seen would have been the industry experts. Not everybody is in the photo, but we would like to acknowledge persons who sat with us voluntarily and supported us in the development of the standard. So we have Mr. Casal, Chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Facilities Committee, Mr. Cody McMillan, HSC Manager at Service Limited, Joel Barrett, Maintenance Manager, UTT, Mr. Neil Beatriu, Director. He has his private facility company, ANZ Enterprises Limited, Mr. Ansel Bonner, Disaster Coordinator at Northwest Regional Health Authority, and Ms. Britt Camino, Regional Manager at MTS. So these are the persons who toil with us from January until June, May, June, to develop the occupational standards for facility management. The process for the development of the occupational standards. This includes to establish the need for the standards. We identify the industry sector and the specific occupations for which standards meet the needs to develop and address the workforce. We form the lead body, which is an established group of experts, including industry representatives, employers, trainers, practitioners who will guide the development process. Define the purpose and the scope. We clearly outline the occupational area covered by standards and the objectives for their development. We will also conduct a functional analysis. Here we analyze the occupation and identify the major functions, breaking them down into specific tasks or elements. This detailed analysis identifies the skills, knowledge, and attitudes necessary for competent job performance. Then we develop the draft occupational standard. We develop the draft occupational standards, which include clear units, elements, work activities, performance criteria, knowledge and understanding, reinstatement, underpinning skills. We would validate the draft standard. It is circulated internally as well as for public review by industry practitioners, and they would give their feedback to us. There's the approval process where it is finalized through the sector advisory committee, and also there's a process in the NTA where it is approved and then it's placed on the NTA's website for use. And there's a review process within 3 to 5 years where we will periodically review and update the standard according to industry changes. Diving into the standard itself, we have here the apprentice or the supervised worker. So here we would say that in facility management, the apprentice or the supervised worker plays a vital role in ensuring a smooth day-to-day operations of the facility. This position emphasizes strong customer service skills to address the needs of staff and visitors, coupled with providing operational support and routine maintenance needs on a daily basis. Units of competence developed in this area. We would have looked at health and safety units, hazard and emergency units, maintain effective workplace communication, provide customer service. They must know to perform manual handling and lifting, perform work at heights during facility management operations. They must be able to inspect the facility, maintain facility components, collect and transport routine and non-routine waste, maintain facility management database information, maintain grounds and surroundings of the facility, prepare for an event at the venue, and conduct pool cleaning activities. Next, we have the skilled worker. In contrast, the skilled worker in FM requires a more specialized skill set. The role demands advanced technical knowledge and troubleshooting abilities to effectively perform its duties. Technicians are primarily responsible for the maintenance, repair, and upkeep of various equipment and systems, often dealing with complex issues. Here, we would have spoken towards again health and safety and environmental procedures, hazards and emergencies in the workplace, effective workplace communication, customer service, perform manual handling and lifting, prepare technical reports, maintain workplace documents, maintain inventory and resources, maintain facility services. This is a broad unit of competence which takes into the account all the systems, the HVAC systems, electrical, plumbing, structural, etc. Monitoring the use of the facilities, maintaining pool and surroundings, and dismantle and reinstall furniture. So these were some of the areas we looked at, functions, and then we would have looked at the skilled technical and supervisory worker. Here we say that the FM person requires a well-balanced combination of both management and administrative capabilities to ensure the smooth and efficient operations of the facilities and the effective guidance of our facility staff. While a foundational understanding of technical aspects remain important, the demands of the role now emphasize strong leadership qualities. The worker needs to be equipped to guide and motivate the team, as well as manage broader organizational responsibilities related to facility operations. So this would include to confirm health and safety requirements. So as we climb, you're seeing the health and safety, but at different angles, where they have to follow instructions at this stage. They are confirming the health and safety requirements. Again, conduct effective workplace communication, prepare advanced technical reporting, provide leadership to your team, maintain effective customer service and relations, supervise work of the facility management team, train facility management staff, estimate and quote facility management service, roster facility management staff, supervise the operations of the work management system, maintain a sustainable work environment, assess facility compliance, and plan maintenance activities, manage contractual services, maintain facilities and assets, and manage soft services. This is where we would have completed the standards development up to the level of the skilled technical supervisory worker. However, we will be continuing the process, the development process for the managerial aspect, I think starting in September. Right? At this stage, Avinash, you can continue.
All right, so Sandy, I just leave it at the facility management units, and then
Uh-huh.
we'll move on to mines.
No problem.
Just to let you all know that a unit of competency,
Sorry.
just go back, is really a function of of your particular job. All right. So in a sense, the level 3 or skilled technical supervisory worker, all these units of competence are ideally supposed to be performed as functions for a skilled person or a supervisory person. And you will realize that there is a scaffolding of the skill requirements from basic skills, which is level 1, to a little bit more advanced skills in level 3, where you actually are supervising persons. You're actually looking at preparing documentation, rostering staff, training staff, assessing facility compliance. And these are higher order skills um, that are required per function actually. And so when you're developing your job description for a facility management supervisor, these units of competencies provide you with a guide as to what functions are required at the supervisory level. All right. The second thing that I probably want you all to note is that every function, every unit of competency or every function is made up of either 3 or 4 tasks. And all those 3 or 4 tasks have to be completed before you can say that you have completed the function. All right. The standard itself the unit of competency, sorry, actually gives you a broad-based definition or description of what the function is. And then it deep dives into what are the tasks that are required to basically complete this function. It provides you with the range of equipment and as well as personal protective wear to use, as well as uh, processes and stuff that you need to recognize. So there's a area in the standard that speaks towards the range of areas that you need to cover in terms of equipment, in terms of processes, in terms of protective gear, in terms of tools that you need to be competent on while you perform this particular function. The standard or the unit of competency also gives you an idea of what are your knowledge requirements. All right, and so we'll come to a bit about that. So it is a kind of detailed document by function of what is required in the workplace for specific levels of employees, right up to the supervisor, right? And sometimes when you move from beyond supervisor, you move to the professional. And is at basically at the professional level, you probably need degrees, all right, or advanced certification. So at the NTA only look at the areas that speak towards skill development or the development of artisan skills. All right, so Sandy, you could just go down. Okay, so the value of occupational standards for stakeholders. And I will just touch base a bit for the employers. Because the document deep dives into functions, it provides employers with the necessary information, HR information in terms of being able to prepare a job description for the skills needed in the workplace for facilities management, from persons who are, you may consider trainees, to skilled worker, to skilled supervisory worker. Um, the important thing about the NOS is that it's free so that anybody can utilize it. You don't have to hire an HR consultant to develop these job descriptions for you. You can actually take a look at the units of competencies by level and craft your own job description. It supports identifying skills of current employees. All right. So basically, the units of competencies by level provides you, in a sense, with a platform for you to assess your current employees. Because it provides you with the current functions that are required. And once you are able to do that performance assessment of your employees, you can know whether the employee is competent or whether the employee needs to be trained or upskilled. The, if you also notice, the standards also deal with soft skills. All right, so you would across each unit, each level, you would see things like workplace communication. I'm not sure if it had anything about conflict resolution here, but some standards look at conflict resolution. You have issues regarding employee customer service, which we find across all which we try to put in across all occupational areas because it's a gap in Trinidad and Tobago. All right. And so it will assist the companies in determining some level of the behavioral or the behaviors that are required to perform not only your technical skills, but also your soft skills, and which we feel is very important, especially for service type industries. Um, Again, it provides, once you use the units of competency by functions, it identifies gaps in a person's skill set. So you can now identify the gap and say, well, all right, we need to develop, we need to send this guy, or we need to train this guy or lady in a particular function or a particular task. The one thing that I would also um, want to touch a bit on is the potential for career progression pathways. One of the gaps that we have in this country is that we don't have sufficient information in terms of career pathways for people with particular occupations. And so, because we move from level 1 to level 2 and level 3, and for this particular area, there is a clear idea of what you need to achieve at each level to move on with your career. All right. And that's a very important thing for somebody who is now starting off as a trainee to be able to aspire to a higher level and a higher level. Um, it, it's one of the things that we have a gap in Trinidad and Tobago, in that when we identify education priorities, we don't necessarily link that with how you can progress your career in the workplace. And so we have spent some time trying to organize this in such a way that people can see how they can scaffold their careers a bit. All right. Sandy? All right. So one of the things that we wanted to achieve for this session is for persons to be able to utilize the standard or a unit of competency to build out their own training or assessment plan. So this particular unit that I would have chosen is inspect facility. And the unit descriptor gives you an idea of what is the skills and knowledge. It gives you an idea of basically what is needed to perform an inspection of a facility. It indicates what this performance of this inspection speaks of basically a routine check for all areas of repair and cleanliness, as well as recording and reporting information. So to achieve this function, there are 3 tasks that's required to be completed. Identify the workplace requirements, conduct inspection, prepare inspection report. Those are the 3 things that are required. All right, and those are really the elements in the unit of competencies. What's the underpinning knowledge and skills? So the underpinning knowledge and skills are basically what you need to know and what you also need to be able to do. So it's not only knowing, it's also about doing, right? So it speaks towards health and safety. You need to know about health and safety, the importance of PPE. You also need to know the procedures for checking for the facility interior and exterior surroundings. You also need to know the hazards and risk. You also need to know the organizational process. This is where when you see how you know how to check operational conditions, this is where you do how to check gauges and pressure pumps and stuff like that. That speaks to do. How to identify deficiencies and reports. That speaks to do. Why speaks towards principles. So, so why it is important to store records, why it is important to record any unsafe actions. And that speaks towards certain health and safety principles. So the standard itself speaks towards basically at this level, you have some knowledge requirements in terms of what and why, as well as some skill requirements in terms of how to do. Sandy? So let's go towards the lesson plan. So we are looking, if it's a lesson plan, we are dealing with trainees. So based on the function as well as the task, the information from the elements or tasks, we can pull out that it speaks towards being able to understand your work instructions and select appropriate personal protective equipment, tools, and documents. So in other words, you must know about PPE, you must know about the appropriate tools to use, and you must be able to document what you are doing, right? The second one speaks about being able to conduct a comprehensive inspection. The third one speaks towards checking the operational condition of equipment and utilities. And the fourth one speaks towards completing an inspection report. And I am pretty sure that you will do all of these things in your normal day-to-day work. And if you aren't doing it, if you don't have a inspection report or anything like that, well, then you now need to know that you have to do that, because that's an important tool in ensuring that you have a significant process in place for your inspection. Importantly, you also have to store your records and report on the completion of the work. So that's an administrative process. All right, so let's see the assessment plan for element 1. Identify work requirements. So basically, you can use quizzes. You quiz in the workplace about, basically what's going on here, partner, what you're going to do and stuff like that, and practical observation as a supervisor. So what you look at is in terms of the correct answers on the quiz, and you have to have an observation. To do this, you must have an observation checklist in terms of the work requirements, right? As well as the use of PPE and tools and documentation. Conduct inspection. This is practical observation. You actually, the person is conducting the inspection, and you as the supervisor go along with him. You have your observation checklist, um, and you have to ensure that that person does that examination of the facility, the equipment, and the utilities properly based on the checklist. All right. Prepare inspection report, and this is the administrative part. And this also again speaks up. You sit down while that person does the report, and you observe what he does, because you, as the assessor, would have already had that information, because you would have had that prior experience, and then you review the report. Nothing rocket science that goes out of your normal day-to-day routine. All right. Um, the one thing that you would notice is that the assessor, when he's doing that review, has to make sure that there's notes on how the candidate completed that exercise. So you have that as part of your performance assessment. Sandy? All right, the formative assessment. So during training, so these are some of the things, and again, the type of assessments that you use: observation, participation, quizzes, practice reports. What we are trying to do is that we want employers to be able to utilize the standard, the units of competencies, but not to make it onerous. We want to be able to make it a little bit fun in terms of quizzes and stuff like that, and participation and stuff like that, so that the employee also becomes part and parcel of the process and doesn't get stressed out. Right? So the focus for observation is PPE utilization and how he handles his tools. The method is that you have to have a trainer's checklist or observation checklist. Participation in terms of hazard identification. So you may be working on a team. So how the team identifies hazards and how they operate, the dynamics in a workplace. Right? And so that's group activities. Quizzes, HSC knowledge and procedures, short tests if you want to, practice reports, report writing. And at once you start, even as an apprentice, you must be able to write a basic report, all right, on whatever facility that you are checking out, whatever facility that you're maintaining, all right. And that report writing, to actually make it more fun and also to increase the learning, is that you do it in terms of peer review. Let people review each other's report, so and they can identify uh, basically what's good about the report and what's bad about the report. And so that's how you build a level of teamness in your organization. Now, so in education and training, we talk about formative assessment. The formative assessment takes place during training, and the summative assessment takes place at the end of training. The summative assessment could also be based on you doing an assessment of a current worker. All right, so that worker doesn't need any training. That's just that person, you're just doing a performance assessment. So a practical inspection on, and the criteria is accuracy, safety compliances, thoroughness, real-time facility inspection. So you're doing that while work going on. Written reports, ensuring that there's clarity, completeness of the report, and the report is relevant to the particular work function taking place. The method is just you have to submit a submission of an inspection report to your supervisor. Knowledge tests. This again is basically about procedures, risk, tools, making sure that they know the tools, and making sure that they know the procedures. Importantly, we wanted to stress a little bit about the risk And these can be done utilizing just multiple choices. You give people an option. Supervisor evaluation. Um, and this again gives you an idea. Well, all right, if a supervisor is assessing me, then well, let me let me give some feedback on my supervisor. And the level of what we are looking at here is the level of professionalism of the supervisor, the initiative the supervisor utilizes, levels of communication. And this can be done in terms of basically when you're doing your performance assessment feedback. All right. Sandy? All right. So basically, when you are looking at training, you're really in the workplace, it's really experiential, it's hands-on. All right. Either in real or simulated environments. Interactive lectures, meaning that you, before you start a job, you have a discussion on the job, what's supposed to be done during while the job is taking place, and then afterwards you have a Q&A session about what went right, what went wrong. Group work, because that group work always builds task and teamwork and problem solving, and every single function or every single work order is usually done by a team. So there must be some level of how you build out your collaborative task, right? Role play, if you have the time to utilize it. Visual aids, use of diagrams, photos, and videos. I think we live in the digital age now, so you can always do a video of how you do a particular task or how you do a particular function, and you utilize it as a point of reference for for not only for your trainees but also for your current employees. All right. Is this the last slide, Sandy?
No, we have one more.
One more. All right. Okay. Good. I almost forgot this. So, um, the what I presented um, just now is basically how you can actually go about doing a performance assessment utilizing one unit of competency or function in the workplace, and that's for employers and employees. How you relate and you conduct your performance assessments and stuff. Now, if you want to go one step further, you can develop a competency management system framework, or what some people call a competency assurance management system framework. The one thing that I will want to point out here is that you have to dedicate resources to this. This is not a simple exercise. It means that you have to have technical resources, administrative resources, access to the technical space and stuff like that. And you sometimes need to pull persons out of your workplace to do some of these things, as well as train and upskill persons. So a company must be willing to dedicate resources to this. If a company, which and quite a bit of companies in Trinidad and Tobago are small and medium-sized companies, and they don't have the resources, then you have to think very strategically about it, right? Because you would have to dedicate resources to it, and you would have to determine whether or not this type of system is just only to test employee competency, or is it to recognize the competency through certification? All right, and some of the things that are required in a competency assurance management system framework are your management systems, your procedures, your organizational structure, rules and or responsibilities, your KPIs, records management, and all of these things. When you are doing it, you actually have to document it, right? Assessment, standard process, appeals, and grievances. All right, and sometimes maybe that may be available because you might have a very good performance management system. In other cases, your performance management systems may be basic, so you have to spend some funds doing that, upgrading your performance management systems, right? Competency assessments, assessor. So you have to upskill your assessors in terms of ensuring that they are capable to do assessments and they understand the process of conducting assessments. You have to also understand a bit about the assessment process, which means basically assessment planning, how you conduct an assessment, how you record the assessment, the feedback, and or you also have to have a verification process for that. So that is not just a simple performance assessment. That is actually a quality management uh, uh, assessment system, right? Once you have done the assessments, there's as I mentioned, there's a verification aspect to it. So the verifier also has to have qualification, and you must also have a process for verification. And again, the verification process speaks towards planning, conducting, recording feedback, right? So that's also a dedicated process, and there's a difference between assessments and verifications. All right, assessments is what the assessor conducts, and assessments must be in a sense accurate. It must be relevant. It must be valid and stuff like that. When you're doing an internal verification, you're actually checking the work of the assessor. You're verifying that the assessor would have conducted his assessment accurately and validly. All right, so that takes some knowledge of what verification of skills requires. Observation of assessments and records review. And again, this speaks towards, in a sense, how you schedule and track your assessments, the whether you have a online system, whether you have a administrative system. You must have policies like equal opportunities. You must have a training policy. You must have a policy on observation of assessments and reassessments, and you must have a policy in terms of how you develop a plan for your employees, right? And that, in a nutshell, is a basic frame of reference for setting up and, in a sense, implementing a competency assurance management system. All right. I think that's the end of the presentation. So feel free to ask any questions that you may want to do. Edward, I pass it on to you to.
Thank you so much, Avinash and Sandy. Appreciate that.
You're
So
welcome.
we can open the floor for any questions or comments or what have you, if anybody has.
I had one recommendation. Thanks again for the presentation, Sandy and Avinash. So it's very helpful and very relevant for where I work and stuff. So one of the suggestions I have for possibly including in the requirements for the competencies is something that we've had to do for just about every what to say job scope for new hires and existing persons. Even we had to update was including in general requirements meeting quality assurance standards. So in the where I work in Brighton PI, so we mainly distribution and some light manufacturing. So the supplier contracts that we have, they normally require us to have that as a given. So just as health and safety should be a general requirement for all employees, health and safety environment. They also have quality and customer service, as you already have included customer service. So just a suggestion. I don't know if that was something that might have come up in the discussions with the team that was helping to build the standards.
I will ask Sandy is actually the person who facilitated the development of the standards. So, and I know that the issue of customer service comes up because once it's a service sector occupation, we know that customer service is plays a critical role in that. And so from level 1 upwards, we try to ensure that particular function is embedded or is a standalone unit um, as a function in a particular job or occupation. I don't know if that answers your question.
I was asking if quality would be another standalone
Unit?
item. Yeah,
Um,
because we've had to include it as that in our job scopes.
okay, so let me ask you this. Quality in terms of a facility management person or quality in terms of a person responsible for the quality management framework of your company?
No, all employees have to
Mhm.
meet the quality management system that the company has. They have to be in compliance with it.
All right, so what I'll ask Sandy to do is just to touch base with the industry team to see if this is something that can be considered a critical area or critical function in facility management. All right?
Okay. All right, no problem.
Or whether it forms part of um, a competency standard that has to do with quality.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah. Right. Anybody else have any questions? Thanks for that, Jackie.
Oh,
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Going once, going twice. Okay, thank you then, Avinash and Sandy. I think that was very useful and very helpful. I was actually trying to preparing something on the side, and I don't know if I missed it when we spoke about the actual. Sandy may have spoken about it, where we talked about the the role of TTIFMA in these standards. Sandy, I can't remember if you mentioned it or not.
Yes, at the
Okay,
sector advisory committee level, where you all would have endorsed the standard after we develop with the team, TTIFMA would have endorsed the standard for the and in terms of the industry side of
right,
FM.
right,
So that is where you all would have reviewed the standard
right,
and endorsed as well.
right. And just to qualify that statement, I was on the development team, so I actually recused myself from any involvement in that verification. Cindy Guevara, our immediate past president, because this kind of happened during the transition. So the immediate past
Correct.
president led the charge in doing that review, and I do believe that we sent out in emails to everybody, all the members, asking them to have a look at the standard and review. And eventually she and Nicholas in particular had sat with the NTA and went through the standard and signed off.
Yeah,
So
thorough review we did.
thorough review, right?
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Sandy and Avinash. Really a pleasure interacting with you again, and we welcome all members and participants here today to reach out to the NTA if you have any further questions or queries, or ask us at the chapter. Put it in the chapter chat, or email the chapter, and we'll make the connection for you. Absolutely, and we look forward to the final publication of the standards. So thank you very much, folks, for your time. I would like to switch over to some chapter updates, and here we are. So something missing here. Right, here we go. So what's going on here? Right, jumping too quick. Right. So I started to talk about this at the beginning of the meeting, and I just want to go back to it. I think this is working as a let me reshare, because this thing is not working the way it's supposed to be working. It's not supposed to be doing that like that. Okay. And you would think I know how to do PowerPoint. Are you guys seeing the PowerPoint? Yep, okay, right, nice. Okay, so just getting back into the board of directors, started in July 2025. I am returning as president. It's not supposed to do that. I'm returning as president, and rather than sharing the whole screen, I'll just zoom in. I am returning as president after 3 years during COVID. Richard Gunpat stays on as vice president. Richard is here. Welcome, Richard. I saw him on the call. Cindy Guevara is our immediate past president, but she's also taken on. She had been the president for 2 years, and thank you very much, Cindy, for your service and carrying the torch during that period. And she is now the immediate past president, but is also taken on the role of treasurer, freeing up Giselle. And we then have Jackie Gittins as returning secretary. Jackie is also on the call. Welcome, Jackie, and Jackie helped put this together today. So that's the new board, and we have a few things coming up soon. I also want to recognize TTIFMA on the global stage. We have had some appointments made, and as a little chapter, people talk about TTIFMA as a little chapter that could. And Akian Ford, Akian is our past president. She was the president back in the 2017 era, and she was president for 2 years. She was then appointed onto the global board of directors, and her role there ended, and she has now been appointed as a IFMA Foundation trustee. So you have the IFMA board of directors, and you have the IFMA Foundation that operates separately. And IFMA Foundation is based on scholarships and increasing education amongst bringing young professionals into the fold. So she's been appointed as a trustee of the foundation. Is a very prestigious position, and it's a global position, and that's for 3 years. She's just been appointed. Giselle Holder, another past president and up until recently treasurer, has been appointed to the global board of directors as of 1st of July as well. So the fact that a little chapter like us now has 2 people who have been or are on the global board of directors, both of them powerful ladies of Trinidad and Tobago. We are so proud of these ladies. Congratulations to Giselle. Giselle, I think you're on the call. Welcome. Glad you could make it. Unfortunately, she had to give up all other roles while she's on the global board of directors, but she's representing us very well. And then Richard Gunpat, last year's winner of the Distinguished Member Award, and he has done a lot of work with the Sustainability Council. Is it the Sustainability Council? Do I have it correct, Richard? Richard is also here. Welcome, Richard. He is now the president of the Sustainability Council, having done a lot of work to help and raise funds for scholarships, and doing great work in IFMA, a lot of work. And I think he's involved with other things, but that's the one that he's been appointed to this year as a main foundation. I hope I have that correct, Richard.
Hi Eddie. It's the IFMA Sustainability Community. ISC.
Community, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Council and community, we mix them up all the time. All right. But yeah, so Richard, a stalwart and a very hard worker, and still gives time for the chapter. Marvin Sinanan, very, very, very quietly sitting in the background. And Marvin, we need to make a connection. We need to connect. Marvin is also on the call. Welcome, Marvin. Marvin has been appointed to the IFMA Certification Commission, and the Certification Commission is involved we do a lot of IFMA training here in Trinidad, and we do training, we present the courses, we help the students, we do the instruction, etc. The Certification Commission is the other side, right? The examination and making sure that the transparency, the governance of the whole examination and how the examinations are set and operated, which the trainers have nothing to do with. And it's a very, it operates independently to the whole provision of the courses and stuff like that. And it's a very, highly confidential commission that operates and makes sure that all of these FMP and CFM programs the certification is properly done and all of the governance involved is correct. Marvin, tell me if I'm wrong. That's my understanding. So Marvin is on the Certification Commission as a commissioner, and fantastic, congratulations, Marvin. I also appointed on the American Advisory Board, which is a board of IFMA that is like a sub-board that is involved in trying to expand the presence of FM in the Caribbean, and I'm the Caribbean liaison. Giselle and Akian both held that role previously, right? So my job in that role is to try and help expand FM across the Caribbean, right? I'm also the secretary of the Manufacturing Council, among a couple of other things. So this is just to kind of give you all a picture of some of the 2025 to 2026 global roles that our little chapter are playing, and there may be others that we don't know about because people go and do stuff and quietly, and we don't always know. So this is just that as an update. And I wanted to also update you all on upcoming events. We have the IFMA World Workplace Conference in Minneapolis from the 17th to the 20th of September, and it is a fantastic event. If anybody who's interested and hasn't gone, you can always give us a buzz. We can give you some guidance. This year we have Edward Akian and Gisela presenting a paper about facilities condition assessments at the conference. This is the second year we're doing a co-presentation, and I've also done other papers, and we hoping to have a Caribbean line when we get up there. We have 10 members of the chapter, 12 members of the chapter who have already registered. 2 are actually not Trinidad based. One is from Barbados and one is from Suriname. So 10 Trinidadian based members have already registered, so it's a pretty big contingent, and we're hoping to make a line when we get up there. We always make a point of doing like a group chat and trying to link up during the show and meet up and so on, but we're gonna try and have a proper line this time. So that's only 17th to 20th of September. It's an excellent opportunity as an FM to learn, to meet peers from abroad, network, to go to the education sessions, go to the expo floor and see what is available for FM in terms of vendors globally. It's a really global powerhouse of a conference. On the 22nd of October, this so far is tentative, but I think it will stick. We're looking at doing a Bureau of Standards facility tour meeting. And again, like the NTA, the Bureau of Standards was on that panel in the conference that we had 2 months ago. And they were talking about the ISO 41000 standards of FM, which is different from the occupational standards. And they are interested in hosting us and showing us their facilities and their labs and so on, and having a session there about ISO standards in FM, not just the 41000 series, but just in general the ISO standards in FM, and have a discussion about that. And we're planning that for the 22nd of October. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks we'll be able to put out a notice early so you can register. on the 3rd of November to the 11th of December, this didn't format very well. We have the next cohort of the FMP. We've gotten the FMP now to where we're pretty much doing it twice a year, in April and November. So we have our next cohort starting on the 3rd of November. We're running for 6 weeks, and we're doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, and then 2 full days Saturdays. So it's a hybrid arrangement. And as I said, we've moved from doing 5 or 6 FMP courses people per year up to like 20-25. So the industry is growing definitely, and the demand for the FMP is growing significantly. So anybody who's interested, just shoot me a WhatsApp or call or hit the website. There's a link to for people who are interested on the website, and make the connection, and we'll talk. We'll have a conversation. All right, and then we have, for the first time ever, we have launched the CFM competency courses and exam prep. These competency courses for the CFM excludes the FMP courses. So it's 7 other competencies, and it's ongoing right now. Now people can register for the entire suite of courses. And when I say ongoing now, class is actually going on as we speak. Today is Tuesday, we have class on Tuesday, right? So they are on a different Zoom link having class right now as we speak. And we have 6 students in that cohort, and it's we're about halfway through. So we have 7 competency courses, and then we have the exam prep at the end. And each of the competency courses can be done on its own. So you could do the occupational performance and quality. You could do real estate, you could do risk management, you could do courses independently of each other by themselves, or you could do the whole suite of courses. So we do have a couple of people who came on just to do a few of the courses. So again, if you're interested, it's not too late to get involved. You don't have to do all. You may not be able to afford all. It is a fairly big commitment, or you may not be ready to study all. You may just want to do 1 or 2. Again, give us a call, shoot a WhatsApp, and we'll have a conversation. That is ongoing, and it will finish, I think, the first week of October. Alright, we do have a few breaks in between, like for Independence Weekend and Workplace Week and stuff. We have a few breaks in between. So that's what's coming up in the next few months, and we'll soon publish what's going to happen early next year. So that is my update. For now, I don't know if any of the other board members have any updates or comments. I will open the floor. Nobody?
No updates on my end. I know I have one person on the chat that would have reached out to me directly for info to try to get an idea of the costs for the different courses.
Right, okay.
To kind of plan for budgeting. So we could always
Right.
put that one offline.
Alright, great. No problem. We could deal with that offline here. Agreed. Alright. So everybody, I see, is he still here? I just want to recognize, oh my God, he gone. We had a past president on the call with us, Tyrell Melville, who we have not seen in a meeting for a long time, but he was on the call, and he was the inaugural president of the association 15 years ago. So he was on the call earlier, but he did jump off. I want to recognize him as the inaugural president. So thank you all very much. It has been a short meeting. So we're gonna try and have maybe a few more meetings. They don't have to all be very long meetings, especially when we're gonna do a mixture of virtual meetings and in-person meetings.
Sorry, I saw one question on the chat. If a draft is available, that's Brittany, is it?
Yeah, Brittany, I believe so. I will ask Cindy because the NTA did send us a draft as a chapter to make comment. And I know that you've joined IFMA, even though we're struggling for you to get onto the chapter. So I will ask Cindy about the draft if we could just send it to you. All right? Because it did send us a draft. Yeah? Okay, great. All right, Bianca, sorry.
Bianca, sorry.
Bianca. I see, I say in Brittany, and whilst I say in Brittany, I tell myself that's the wrong name. All right. I thank you all for coming, and I think we can ring off now. Right, so yes, Nadita from TTBS says greetings. Yes, I was talking to Daryl and Nadita. We have to confirm up. And I say 22nd of October. I believe that's the date we confirmed, but we could tidy it up. So I would tell everybody, what I want to encourage everybody to do is go onto LinkedIn, go look for TTIFMA, follow TTIFMA, and make comments when like and make comments when we put up the post, because that is how we become a little more well known. We always struggle as an organization and as a profession with people not always knowing who we are and what we do. So we trying hard to become, to outreach and use the dollar outreach and become better known. But it always helps when members engage with us online. That helps build the momentum and build the awareness. So check us out on LinkedIn. All of our activities will be posted on LinkedIn. Also keep checking the website. It is being updated regularly. We regularize our arrangement with the person who's going to be updating the website and so on. So today's thing was on the website. You can go on the website and register for events and stuff. So please keep checking the website out, and give us a holler if you see anything we need to correct or modify. And and I will make one last plea. We are looking for volunteers on committees, and the more volunteers we have, the more work we can do and the better the chapter can be. And we have two people who on the call right now who have recently volunteered and started to become active. One is Deb Romaine. Welcome, Deb. I need to call you. We need to set up a meeting this week. And then Marvin Sinanan, as I mentioned earlier, who is also not Marvin. Nicholas Als, who also just came on as a volunteer on one of the committees, or maybe two of the committees, and he has already gotten involved. He was part of the organization of this meeting. So welcome, Marvin, Nicholas and Deb. And yes, so anybody willing to come on a committee, it's not a lot of work per week. If the more people we have, the better it is. So Deb says thanks, looking forward to helping out. So great. That's a lot of talk from me. All right, so if nobody has any other comments or closing remarks, we can close the meeting. All right, thank you very much, and have a good evening, and we'll be in touch. Bye.
Yeah, bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Alright, folks, ending the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.